Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television live from my headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. Insecurity on the rise in the country's economic capital, Douala. Some hoodlums have fallen into the dragnet of security forces, and the universal health care coverage for all Cameroonians may soon be effective. The Minister of Public Health, Andre Mamafuda, was speaking to parliamentarians on government's effort to put in place this universal health care coverage policy that is yet to see daylight since President Paul Biya announced several years down memory lane. Stay with us. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the news on Equinoxe Television. I told you in the headlines, insecurity continues rising in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, and several parts of the country. In many parts of Douala, citizens are harassed on daily basis, homes are attacked, and some individuals are even killed by some unidentified hoodlums who are terrorizing neighborhoods in the city of Douala. Some of the hoodlums have fallen into the dragnet of security forces, as Magic and Gabriel reports.
It is with the use of knives and automatic pistol that these three young men terrorize neighborhoods like Logbaba, Texaco, and Rompoulin in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. Dylan Gagum and Fenilon Kechenen, all 21 years old respectively, and Olivier Kamgang, 23, have been on the field of operation since August 2018. Our first attack at Logbagba Jardin, we eloped with the sum of 1,060,000 francs CFA and 2 telephones. The second area was at Rompoulin. We made away with 800,000, 9 telephones and 2 gas bottles. And at Texaco, we stole just 2 telephones. It was at the 4th attempt that I was caught and beaten. The 3 alleged armed bandits were picked up on November 10th by the elements of the Territorial Gendarmerie of Douala, led by Colonel Mvunde. One of the victims was present during the presentation to the population. The lead bandit was a young man who worked at my place when a borehole was about to be opened. They took 9 telephones and tied up the guard and 2 women living with me at home. I can't actually tell how much money, but it was more than 2 million francs EFA that they took from me. While the 3 will help on further investigations, gendarmes are in search of 2 others who escaped immediately after news got to their ear of the arrest of their colleagues.
And senators of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party meeting in the nation's political capital Yaoundé came out with a declaration in which they are urging the Cameroon government to solve the Anglophone crisis as quick as possible before things completely get out of hand. The crisis has been deepening, killing several persons, injuring many as well, and of course displacing hundreds of thousands who are now living in bushes, other parts of the country, and of course some are now refugees in neighboring Nigeria. This is the declaration of the Social Democratic Front senators by Senator Kizi Emilia, and we equally have an excerpt attached to that declaration, an excerpt of Senator Kemende Henry. Take a listen.
We are here because we are representing a people that we've left back. The struggle is continuing. We are here because while we are in the Senate, our main function is to make sure that information is disseminated properly to the grassroots. That's why we are here. We are equally here because we expect journalists to ask us intriguing questions pertaining to the happenings, particularly in the Northwest and the Southwest region where we come from, so we can make clear issues that plague our regions. Thank you very much. There is a press statement here which comprises of 4 lapses. There is a press statement here that has 4 parts which we are going to highlight on. Press statement. We, the undermentioned Social Democratic Front, the SDF senators, wish to draw the attention of the media, the national and the international communities on the following. 1. The inaugural address of the head of state in Parliament on the 6th of November 2018. We wish to once more draw the attention of the head of state that the escalation of the armed conflict in the Northwest and Southwest regions requires profound measures to restore peace and stability. To this end, we urge the head of state to take adequate steps towards a ceasefire, in fact, an immediate ceasefire, and initiate inclusive dialogue that addresses the root causes of the conflict with a view to seeking a lasting solution to the conflict rocking these regions. Here I mean the Northwest and the Southwest regions in particular.
In fact, after children have been traumatized for such a long time under curfew, under arrest, kidnapping circumstances, there's a procedure by which you bring them back to their state before handing them over to the parents. We don't see the procedure being respected by the powers that be. They were just brought under circumstances. We don't know whether they were put under some psychological, yes, exactly. But this is what they're supposed to, and then medically, they're supposed to examine all of them. Not necessarily some selected few management. Okay. So it is our wish that it is done and that those children are reinstated in their original health state before handing them to their parents.
Senator Kemende speaking there about the over 80 students of Presbyterian Secondary School, PSS Quen, in the Bamenda 3 subdivision who were recently abducted and later set free. And of course, that declaration was coming on the heels of a statement by the Social Democratic Front senators on the Anglophone crisis, calling on head of state Paul Biya to provide solutions to that socio-political and security crisis as fast as possible. Coming back here to the economic capital Douala, a decision of the appeal court of the Littoral region has urged the government's delegate to the Douala City Council to reintegrate some personnel representatives who were sacked after a strike action some years down memory lane, and the sacked staff representatives have urged the government delegate to the Douala City Council to respect the decision of the appeal court of the Littoral region, and of course the administration. It should be recalled that the Minister of Labour and Social Security had earlier instructed him to reintegrate the sacked staff representatives. For me, Armstrong Sander has more. We'll be coming back to that report of, for me, Armstrong Sander on the sacked staff representatives at the Douala City Council. Now we're going to talk about the meeting of the a delegation of the International Monetary Fund and the Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Mutazi, as well as some officials of the Ministry of Finance in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And that meeting took place for a week, during which issues concerning the economic growth of the Republic of Cameroon were discussed, as well as financial cooperation between the Republic of Cameroon and the International Monetary Fund. And at the tail end of that meeting, Finance Minister Louis Paul Mutazi talked about the Bank of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, which has continued limping over the years. And he also indicated that the Ministry of Finance and other stakeholders are now reflecting on how to boost or revamp that financial institution, which is today way limping, according to some critics. Here's an extract of the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motazi, and the head of the IMF delegation.
We have had a meeting here with the relevant minister and the staff of the bank. That means the chairman of the board and the director general. The problem now is just to see, because we are facing a lot of problems. This bank is facing a lot of problems. The problem now is to see whether or not we have to change the scope of the bank. This is the decision that will be taken in the board of meetings, the board of administration, and the general assembly, and then we shall revert to our hierarchy.
After a week, we had very fruitful discussions on the third review under the extended credit facility that's supported by the IMF. And I'm happy to say that we reached a staff-level agreement on the main elements of the review, which will allow us to present it to our board mid-December. This will be provided the targets, the fiscal targets for end to 2018 are respected, and also the draft budget law for 19 should be in line with the program objectives, which is of a gradual continued consolidation. So if the review is concluded satisfactorily, so there will be a disbursement of about 46 billion CFA francs right after the board meeting, and that will also allow the full disbursement of the budget support for Cameroun. So some of it was already dispersed, but the total for the year is about 300 billion CFA.
The universal health insurance coverage for all Cameroonians announced by the President of the Republic on the 31st of December 2011 may soon go operational. Talking to members of Parliament at the ongoing November session of Parliament at the Hemicycle in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, Public Health Minister Andre Mamafuda said government has been working on the health insurance policy aimed at enhancing healthcare in the country. He said it will function on the basis of equity in contribution, and healthcare services and priority will be given to babies of 0 to 5 years of age and pregnant women, as well as 8 patients, those suffering from malaria, tuberculosis, hepatitis, and of course a kidney failure patients. Here's an extract of the Minister of Public Health, Andre Mamafuda.
Several times high instruction from the head of state to conduct and finalize these reflections, because actually I think we reached the end of reflections. We know that you have a framework bill concerning universal health coverage. You have the project of decrease concerning the high authorities in the health sectors, and the organism will have in charge of the management of this system. And we know that it's important to have a preparatory phase where we will implement the network information between the main organism, the different actors on the field, municipalities, professional orders, health facilities, public and private. And it's important to have the condition of agreement of the different health facilities on two aspects. First aspect is the number and the qualification of human resource, and the second aspect is equipment. Then actually is a good step for the reflection, and after this exchange with the parliamentarians, perhaps the process will go. The principle that we receive from the head of state is equity. Equity concerning the contributions, equity concerning the access of needs of service and treatment. You have at the level of health facility, you have the same condition, equity, and solidarity. Solidarity, because the contribution is in function of revenue of someone. not the same contribution for everybody. And solidarity, because you don't penalize the big family. Each individual has to contribute. That is the main aspect that you conduct our reflections, and we think that perhaps several between us can think that the progression is slow, but it's important to go very slowly for the.
Our reporter Marcelin Gansab equally talked to the Director General of the National Social Insurance Fund, who elaborates on how the system would be put in place and other key aspects of the universal insurance health care policy. Take a listen.
Three aspects that we need necessarily to deal with. The first one is how to put in place the system. We can do it at once. We can do it progressively. My favor is to put it progressively, as well as the package of illness that are treated, and the way we finance the system. Concerning the financing of the system, we need to conduct field studies in order to determine very precisely how far we can go. Because if we tax too heavily the employers and the persons, the system will fail. And if we do it lower, we will not have enough means to conduct the system. The last aspect to take into account the mentalities, because the mindsets are very important when you put we settle up such system. Some of our studies conducted us to see that most of the person, many of the person prefer to go to the traditional practitioners than to the hospital. And when they come to the hospital, the situation is very, very heavy, difficult, and either they die or the health is so costly. So we need to know how people think, how what's their conception to the health system. If they are there to the health system, let's say the modern health system, or they prefer to go to the traditional practitioners, which I'm not sure could deal with a real sound health for our population.
The Littoral Court of Appeal urges the government delegate to the Douala City Council, Dr. Fritz Tonen, to reintegrate some personnel representatives who were sacked after a strike action several years down memory lane. A legal battle has been going on between the government delegate and the sacked personnel representatives, and they are now calling on the government delegate to respect the decision of the Court of Appeal and, of course, the administration. For me, I'm Strong Sander.
Shali Kanga, one of the 11 staff representatives of the Douala City Council, suspended on the 10th of October 2017 by Fritz Tonen, government's delegate to the Douala City Council, says he is happy after the Douala Appeal Court ruled for their reintegration on the 27th of September 2018. He said the court demanded their reinstatement in their capacity as staff representatives of the Douala City Council. Their salary be paid as well as indemnities for the period when they were suspended. He equally talked about the payment of 20,000 francs daily for each of the 11 as demanded by the court and other decisions taken by the court in Douala. However, close to a month after the court ruling, the implementation is yet to be initiated by the government's delegate to the Douala City Council, Dr. Fritz Tonen. Shali Ikanga says they expect the government's delegate to the Douala City Council to implement the court's decision in a Republican posture. He also promised that they will not give up until the court's decision is fully implemented by the boss of the Douala City Council. In a telephone interview conducted with us, Dr. Frix Tonentone restrained from making declarations on the issue. But the suspended workers said they are positive that the rule of law will prevail in their situation. They also explained that the manifestation which led to their suspension and later sack was within the law. When the staff representative reclaimed better working conditions for workers of the Douala City Council, the boss of the Douala City Council suspended them in a letter and later moved to their sack, even against the decision of the Minister of Labour and Social Security. The staff representatives of the Douala City Council took to the court whose ruling fell in their favor.
For me, Armstrong Sanda reporting there on the situation of the sacked personnel representatives of the Douala City Council. Now we go over to Njombe in the Mongo Division littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon, where inhabitants have gone for several months without electricity, and the power failure has crumbled business activities in that part of the Mongo Division, making life much more difficult and complicated for inhabitants. Details in this report compiled by Innocent Azi.
Decades falling electric poles, rampant connection of cables for electricity distribution. Above all, lack of goodwill by management of the electricity production and distribution company in Njombe, Mongo Division of the littoral region, account for the lack of electricity. This has hampered business operations, thereby having an adverse effect on the economy of the locality. Teachers find it difficult to prepare lessons for learners.
J'ai des statistiques à faire, j'ai des cours à préparer, j'ai des bulletins à remplir.
Students, on their part, complain of reaping poor academic performance. Reason being that they cannot study at night.
Il y a des heures tardives où l'élève doit se réveiller, apprendre. Par exemple, il n'y a pas la lumière, l'élève ne sait pas comment faire pour apprendre.
Some persons have embarked on the use of generator to illuminate their homes and to run their businesses. Not only electricity is the people's nightmare, lack of potable water for months now has spurred them forth to question if Njombe is not part of Cameroon.
Le Cameroun fait partie des pays les plus arrosés de l'Afrique centrale. Mais l'eau, il n'y en a pas.
They humbly implore governments to remedy these problems striking them.
C'est ça qui nous rend malades. Qu'est-ce que vous voulez qu'on fasse?
President Paul Biya, in his speech during the oath-taking ceremony, told Cameroonians not to worry, for he has taken note of their plights. He promised to, during his 7th mandate, solve problems of electricity, water crisis, dilapidated roads, to mention but a few, to raise standards of living of Cameroonians. Fingers are crossed by the aggrieved population, who are eager to see these promises come true.
Circulation has been restored on the section of the route into the city of Douala from Yaoundé, where the metal culvert collapsed 4 months ago. A bridge has been constructed and vehicles are now circulating along that section of the road with little or no difficulties. Franklin Mwabe reports.
This is the main entrance into the town of Douala from the west. The bridge that collapsed on the 25th of June after a heavy downpour has been rehabilitated for its users.
Ici, avant, quand on arrivait ici, il n'y avait pas moyen de passer. On pouvait faire au moins facilement 2 heures.
According to this road user, before now there was heavy traffic hold-up on this road. Passengers could spend up to 2 hours on the road from Tradex to Yassa, but now the road is free from traffic hold-up and easily accessible.
Actuellement, je crois que la route passera très librement.
After 4 months of rigorous work on the road, construction company in charge of rehabilitating the road met with the expectations of the authorities that be.
I would say that we are proud of the work done in this road. This morning we crossed this place down there going to Edea. And this afternoon, when we are coming back, they just tell us that the road is open. The bridge that was broken behind me is already there.
Governor of the Littoral Region Samuel Dudune even had the Boa further sensitize the population on how to make use of the road.
We are proud of the work done today and also asking population to help us to keep these roads in a good manner, so that by the time that the African Cup of Nations is coming here, we have to present all those roads in perfect states.
It is a happy ending for the several motorbikes, buses and other vehicles that ply the National Road number 3.
Preparations ahead of the second elective ordinary General Assembly of the Bar Association are well on course. Meeting in Douala, members of the organizing committee discussed a wide range of issues in view of ensuring a smooth election of the Bar General Assembly President, the Vice President, the Secretary General, 15 members of the Bureau, and of course the Bar Council President. So far, 45 candidatures have been received, and to curb fraud, the organizing committee has put in place some innovations in the electoral process, notably the single ballot system. For greater details, here's an extract of a legal consultant and member of the organizing committee, Barrister Isabel Fomukong. She spoke to Innocent Abega.
Okay, I'm Isabel, based in Douala. I'm a member of the committee. October, the first sitting, and now this is the second sitting. Actually, we came in for a follow-up of what we have done since 1 month ago, and I'm sure we're on the right footing because it's just about 2 more weeks to go.
What makes you sure that?
Okay, we are on the right sitting because half of the job has already been done. As people saw, we're talking about the ballot papers that has already been printed. There is a restoration and all those things that has already been engaged. The hall is already there, and we are now working on the hotels coming. They have a special price for hotels, so we are working on that now. I mean, if we should be working on hotel, it means most of the work has been done. I'm sure the Assembly, for lawyers, we are sure, because you can't play with us. We already know our rights, and so there's everything put in place for transparency in the election. I mean, it's just a matter for people to come and see for the first time in Cameroon what the Bar Assembly is going to show as an example to every other organization going in for election.
The Paris Peace Forum ended today with Cameroon's President Paul Biya absent, though he was reportedly invited by the President of France, Emmanuel Macron. And what could possibly explain the absence of President Paul Biya at that forum? For me, Armstrong Sander attempts an answer to this question.
The political class in Cameroon has been preoccupied with the absence of President Paul Biya in Paris, France, during the occasion to mark the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I and the Paris Peace Summit. Supporters of the ruling CPDM party justified President Paul Biya's absence with the arguments that Paul Biya was not invited to Paris, France for the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I of 1914 to 1918, but for the Paris Peace Conference scheduled for November 12 to November 13, 2018. They also say Cameroon's head of state was not invited because Cameroon failed to send soldiers to France during the First World War of 1914 to 1918. Their arguments, however, seem to ignore the invitation addressed to President Paul Biya on the 2nd of August 2018 by President Emmanuel Macron of France, soliciting his presence in France on November 11. Moreover, heads of states and governments who took part in commemoration activities marking the end of World War I were attendees of the Paris Peace Conference, with the exception of U.S. President Donald Trump and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. On November 12, President Paul Biya was not seen anywhere in Paris, France, and not even anything about him. President Paul Biya's absence left tongues wagging on why a leader of a country currently rocked by a socio-political crisis like the Anglophone crisis be absent from a peace conference. Some say Donald Trump, who did not want to meet President Paul Biya, pushed the French President Emmanuel Macron to sideline Cameroon's leader. Cameroonians in the diaspora claim that Paul Biya failed to travel to France because they were mobilizing massively against him, which pushed French President Emmanuel Macron to declare Cameroon's leader Paul Biya as a persona non grata in Paris, France. Others say President Paul Biya's absence in France demonstrates the weaker relationship existing between Yaoundé and Paris. Since the departure of Jacques Chirac, Paul Biya's relationship with the Élysée has been on a weaker lane according to some political observers in Cameroon. This backsliding relationship between the Unity Palace and the Élysée has been witnessed with Nicolas Sarkozy, François Hollande and now Emmanuel Macron. They say Cameroon's strain in the Gulf of Guinea and the Central African sub-region has been the only atom keeping Cameroon on the French White Book. All guards in Cameroon are, however, nostalgic of the period when Yaoundé and Paris used to entertain a very strong economic and political ties.
That's it for this edition of the news. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.